Today I saw something that shattered my world into 1,000 pieces. My own son, Tyler, the boy I raised with every ounce of love I had, was rummaging through my personal documents like a common thief. And the worst part, he had no idea I was watching him through the security camera I just had repaired. My name is Faith Morrison. I'm 68 years old and I live in Seattle, Washington. For the past 3 months, my son Tyler and his wife Daisy have been living with me in my home, a beautiful 3-story house in the Queen Anne neighborhood that I bought 30 years ago with my nursing salary. They told me they wanted to take care of me, that I shouldn't be living alone at my age. What a bitter joke that turned out to be. Let me take you back to where this nightmare really began. The doorbell rang at exactly 8 a.m. I was making my morning coffee, the same French roast I'd been drinking for 20 years. My hands were a little stiff from arthritis, but I managed to pour without spilling. "Mrs. Morrison, I'm here about the security system repair." The technician was a young man, maybe 30, with a professional smile and a tablet under his arm. I'd called the company 6 weeks ago when I first noticed the cameras weren't working. 6 weeks of waiting for an appointment because they were so backed up. 6 weeks that, as it turned out, Tyler and Daisy had been living in my house. Coincidence? I don't think so anymore. "Come in, please," I said, stepping aside. The main system box is in the hallway closet. Tyler had already left for his job interviews. Daisy was supposedly at the grocery store. At least that's what they told me that morning over breakfast. The technician worked for about 45 minutes. I sat in the living room pretending to watch my morning news show, but really, I was thinking about how much my life had changed since Tyler and Daisy moved in. I used to have peace. I used to have privacy. I used to feel like this house was mine. Now I felt like a guest in my own home. Mrs. Morrison, the technician, came out wiping his hands on a cloth. "I've got some news you're not going to like." My stomach dropped. "Is it expensive?" "No, ma'am. It's not about the cost." He pulled out his tablet and showed me a photo of cut wires. "Someone deliberately disabled your security system. These wires were cut with scissors or wire cutters. This wasn't a malfunction." The coffee cup in my hand suddenly felt very heavy. Are you certain positive?" "See these marks, clean cuts. Someone knew exactly which wires to cut to disable the cameras while keeping the power indicator light on. You'd think the system was working, but it wasn't recording anything." My mind raced. Who would do such a thing? I lived in a safe neighborhood. We'd never had break-ins. Unless no. I pushed the thought away. Tyler wouldn't. He was my son. "Can you fix it?" I asked quietly. "Already done. I've replaced the wires and reset the system. You should download this app." He showed me his tablet. "It'll let you view all the cameras from your phone in real time. Here, I'll help you set it up." 10 minutes later, I had the app installed on my phone. 6 camera views. Living room, kitchen, front hallway, back hallway, garage, and front porch. The footage uploads to the cloud automatically, he explained. So even if someone tampers with the physical system again, you'll have backups of everything recorded in the last 30 days. He left at 9:47 a.m. I sat on my couch staring at my phone. Someone had deliberately cut those wires. I thought about mentioning it to Tyler and Daisy when they got home, but something stopped me. A small voice in the back of my mind that had been growing louder over the past 3 months. Something wasn't right about them being here. I decided to test the cameras first, just to make sure they were working properly, I told myself. That's all. I opened the app at 10:15 a.m. 6 camera feeds appeared on my screen crystal clear. I could see my empty living room, my quiet kitchen, the front hallway where I'd hung family photos from Tyler's childhood. I was about to close the app when movement caught my eye. The living room camera. Two people were standing in the middle of my living room surrounded by paper spread across my coffee table. Tyler and Daisy. They were supposed to be gone. My hands started shaking. I turned up the volume on my phone and their voices came through perfectly clear. "Where's the original deed?" Daisy was holding up a folder, her voice sharp with impatience. "Evans needs it by Friday or the whole deal falls apart." Evans, what deal? Tyler was pacing back and forth, running his hands through his hair. "It has to be here. Mom is meticulous about this stuff. She keeps everything organized." "Well, it's not with the mortgage papers or the insurance documents." Daisy threw the folder down on the couch, my favorite reading couch that I'd bought when Tyler was in college. Where else would she keep important documents? Maybe her bedroom. "There's a desk in there. We can't go in there. What if she comes home early?" "She won't. She always goes to the library on Tuesday mornings, spends at least 2 hours there." My blood ran cold. I hadn't gone to the library this morning. I'd stayed home because the technician was coming. But Tyler didn't know that. He'd assumed I'd stick to my routine. How long had they been watching my routines? How long had they been planning this? I kept watching my heart pounding so hard, I thought I might be having a heart attack. Daisy picked up another document. She held it up to the light from the window, reading carefully. "Look at this. The house appraisal from last year. It says the property is worth $450,000. $450,000. The number hung in the air like poison. "I told you," Tyler said. His voice had changed. It was colder now, harder. "This house is sitting on prime real estate. Once we get the deed transferred, we can sell it and finally start our own business." "What about your mother?" Tyler shrugged. He actually shrugged. "There are decent nursing homes around here. We looked at a few. Remember that one in Belltown was nice enough, about $2,500 a month. We can afford that easily once we sell the house." My vision blurred with tears. They were planning to sell my house, put me in a home, and they were discussing it like they were planning a vacation. "But we need that original deed," Daisy insisted. Evans was very clear. He needs the original to make the forgery look authentic. Forgery, the word, echoed in my mind. They were going to forge my signature. I kept watching, kept listening, even though every word felt like a knife in my heart. "Evans already got $3,000 from us," Tyler muttered. "He better deliver. He will. He's done this before. That's why he charges so much. $8,000 total seems like a lot." Tyler. Daisy walked over to him and put her hands on his shoulders. "We're talking about clearing over $400,000 after we pay Evans and put her in the nursing home for a few years. It's an investment?" "An investment. That's what I was to them, a financial investment." Tyler nodded slowly. "You're right. You're always right about these things." "I know." She kissed him on the cheek. "Now let's keep looking. The deed has to be somewhere." I watched them for another 20 minutes as they went through my filing cabinet, my desk drawers, my personal papers. They were careful putting things back mostly where they found them, almost like they'd done this before. Finally, Daisy checked her watch. "We should stop." "She'll be home soon." "Yeah, we can try again tomorrow." They gathered the papers and put them away, not perfectly, but close enough that I might not have noticed if I hadn't been watching. "Don't worry," Daisy said as they headed toward the back hallway toward the guest room they'd been staying in. "We'll find it. And even if we don't, there are other ways." "Like what?" "Like getting her to sign the transfer papers voluntarily. We just need to convince her it's for her own good." The camera feed showed them disappearing down the hallway. I sat there alone in the library parking lot where I'd driven without even realizing it, staring at my phone. My son was going to steal my house. My son was going to forge my signature. My son was going to put me in a nursing home and take everything I'd worked for. And he'd said it so casually, like it was just business. I didn't go home right away. I sat in my car in the library parking lot for almost an hour, crying so hard I couldn't catch my breath. Every memory of Tyler's childhood flooded through me, teaching him to ride a bike, staying up all night when he had the flu, working double shifts at the hospital, so I could afford to send him to college. His father had left when Tyler was 5 years old, just walked out one day and never came back. I'd raised Tyler alone, sacrificed everything for him: relationships, career, advancement, opportunities, my own happiness, and this was my reward. But eventually, the tears stopped, and underneath the grief, something else started growing: anger. Not the hot, explosive kind, the cold, calculating kind that my mother used to call the Morrison steel. They wanted to play games with my life, fine, but I wasn't going to make it easy for them. I opened the security camera app again and found the cloud storage section. The technician had been right. Everything from the past 30 days was backed up there, including the conversation I just witnessed. But 30 days ago, the cameras had been disabled. This was the first recording I had. I needed more. I needed them to confess their entire plan with details, names, amounts, timeline, everything. So I started recording the screen on my phone, saving their conversation. Then I created a new email account, one Tyler and Daisy didn't know about, and sent the video to myself. Then I downloaded it to a USB drive I bought at the drugstore on the way home. By the time I walked back into my house at 2:00 p.m., I had the video backed up in 3 different places. "Hi, Mom." Tyler came out of the kitchen with a smile. A big, warm smile, like he hadn't just been planning to rob me blind. "How was the library?" I looked at my son, this man I'd raised, this man I'd loved more than my own life, and I smiled back. "It was wonderful, honey. Found a great new mystery novel." "That's great. I'm making lunch. Turkey sandwiches." "Okay, perfect." I went to my room and closed the door. Then I sat on my bed and made a decision. I wasn't going to confront them. Not yet. I needed to understand how deep this conspiracy went. I needed to know if Tyler had any second thoughts, any shred of the boy I'd raised still inside him. And I needed evidence, lots of evidence. So I would watch. I would wait. I would let them think they were winning. And when the time was right, I would strike back. But I do it smart because I might be 68 years old, but I'd worked as a nurse in Seattle for 40 years. I dealt with difficult doctors entitled patients and hospital administrators who thought they could push me around. If there was one thing I'd learned in my life, it was this: never underestimate a woman who's been underestimated her whole life. I woke up early and made breakfast like always: scrambled eggs, toast, fresh coffee. Tyler and Daisy came down at 7:30, dressed like they were going to work. "I've got 3 interviews today," Tyler announced, kissing my cheek. "Fingers crossed. Good luck, honey." I poured him coffee. "What companies?" "Tech startups, mostly." "Nothing big, but it's a start." Daisy smiled at me over her coffee cup. She was wearing designer clothes, a blouse that probably cost more than my monthly electric bill. "I'm meeting with a potential client today. Graphic design project. Could be really lucrative." "That's wonderful," I said, keeping my voice warm and supportive. They left at 8:00 a.m. I waited 15 minutes, then opened the security camera app. They were both still home. Tyler was in the living room again this time with a laptop open. Daisy sat next to him, pointing at the screen. Evans texted Daisy, said he needs the deed by Friday or he's walking away. I know. Tyler sounded frustrated. But we've looked everywhere. Then we moved to plan B, which is... Daisy leaned back on the couch, thinking. We get her to sign transfer papers voluntarily. We tell her it's for estate planning. Make it sound official and necessary. Tyler bit his thumbnail, a nervous habit he'd had since childhood. What if she wants to read them first? We make sure they're buried in 40 pages of legal jargon. She's old, Tyler. She won't want to read all that. And even if she does, we'll pressure her to sign quickly. Tell her it's time sensitive. She's not stupid. Daisy, I didn't say she was stupid. I said she's old. There's a difference. Daisy pulled out her phone. I've been researching this. There's a whole playbook for this kind of thing. We make her doubt herself, question her judgment. Then we swoop in as the helpful children who just want to protect her. My hands clenched around my coffee mug. Tyler was quiet for a long moment. That feels manipulative. It's necessary. Daisy's voice hardened. Do you want your own business or not? Do you want to keep living off her charity, getting $300 a month, like you're some kind of teenager? She gives us $300 a month as a gesture. She doesn't have to. Exactly. She doesn't have to. She chooses to, which means she could choose not to at any moment. We have no security here, Tyler. No control over our own lives. This house is worth almost $500,000, and we're living like guests. We are guests. We shouldn't be. You're her only son. This house should be yours by right. We're just accelerating the inevitable. Tyler stood up and walked to the window. I could see his reflection in the glass. He looked conflicted. For just a moment, I had hope. Maybe my son was still in there somewhere. Maybe he'd find his moral compass and tell Daisy this was wrong. You're right, he said. Finally. Let's do it. Let's get the papers drawn up. My hope shattered. Daisy smiled, satisfied. I'll call Evans today. We'll have the documents by tomorrow. And if she still won't sign, then we move to Plan C, which is we make her look incompetent. Get a doctor to document signs of dementia. Then a judge can authorize us to make decisions on her behalf, including signing over the house. Tyler turned around. That's going too far, Daisy. Is it because I've been watching her, Tyler, she forgets things? She repeats herself sometimes. She takes longer to remember names. All perfectly normal for her age, but a good lawyer could make it look like cognitive decline. I felt sick. They'd been watching me, studying me, looking for weaknesses to exploit. Let's try the papers first, Tyler said. If she signs them, we don't need to go nuclear. Agreed. They spent the next hour researching nursing homes online, comparing prices and amenities like they were shopping for a hotel. This one looks decent, Daisy said, pointing at her screen. Belltown Senior Living, $2,500 a month, but it has good reviews. That's more than I thought. It's Seattle. Everything's expensive, but we can afford it for a few years on the proceeds from the house sale. A few years, Daisy shrugged. She's 68. Statistically, she's got maybe 15, 20 years left, but the first few are the important ones. After that, she trailed off meaningfully. After that, I wouldn't matter anymore. I closed the app. I'd heard enough. Thursday morning, I made coffee and pretended everything was normal. My hands were steady as I poured. My smile was genuine as I greeted Tyler and Daisy. I'd learned a long time ago how to hide my feelings. 40 years of dealing with dying patients and grieving families had taught me how to compartmentalize. Mom Tyler said, over breakfast, "We need to talk to you about something important. Here it comes." Of course, sweetheart. What is it? Daisy pulled out a folder I didn't recognize. She set it on the table with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Faith, Tyler, and I have been thinking about your future, about your financial security. My financial security, I kept my voice mild, curious. Yes, we know you've worked hard your whole life and we want to make sure you're protected. So we consulted with a lawyer friend about estate planning. What lawyer friend? Richard Evans. He specializes in estate law for seniors. Very reputable. Richard Evans, the forger, the man they'd paid $3,000 to. I'd looked him up online yesterday. He'd been disbarred in California 3 years ago for fraud. Now he was operating in Washington under a different business name, preying on elderly people. That's very thoughtful of you, I said. Tyler leaned forward, his expression earnest. Mom, these are just standard documents. Power of attorney, medical directives, that kind of thing. Everyone your age should have them. Daisy opened the folder and pulled out a thick stack of papers. It's about 40 pages total, but most of it is legal boilerplate. Our lawyer highlighted the sections where you need to sign. I took the documents and started reading the first page. You don't need to read all of it, Tyler said quickly. Like we said, it's mostly standard language. I'd like to know what I'm signing, I replied, keeping my tone light. The first 10 pages seemed legitimate enough. Standard power of attorney language giving Tyler authority to make medical decisions if I became incapacitated. But on page 11, buried in dense legal text, I found the trap. Full and irrevocable transfer of real property rights, effective immediately upon signature, including but not limited to residential property, located at my address. They wanted me to sign my house over to them right now, not when I died, not when I became incompetent immediately. I kept reading my expression neutral. The grantor hereby relinquishes all ownership claims and transfers full legal title to Tyler Morrison, effective upon execution of this document. What's this section here? I pointed to the property transfer clause. This part about real property rights. Tyler and Daisy exchanged a glance. That's just legalese, Daisy said smoothly. It means that if you ever needed to sell the house to pay for medical care, Tyler would have the authority to do it on your behalf. So I'd still own the house. Of course, Tyler's smile was wide. It's just giving me the legal authority to help you if you ever needed it. It was a lie, a complete bald-faced lie. I see, I said, and this needs to be signed today. Oh, well, the lawyer has an appointment opening tomorrow morning, Daisy explained. If we want to file these documents, we need to bring them signed. Otherwise, we'd have to wait another month for his next availability. Another lie. They wanted me to sign quickly before I had time to think or consult my own lawyer. I set the papers down on the table. Let me think about it overnight, I said. It's a big decision. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Tyler's smile tightened. Mom, it's really not that complicated. We're trying to help you. I know Honey and I appreciate it, but I'd like to sleep on it. Daisy's patience was wearing thin. I could see it in her eyes. Faith, we're talking about your protection, your security. Don't you trust your own son? There it was, the emotional manipulation. Of course I trust Tyler, I said. That's not the issue. Then what is the issue? Daisy's voice had an edge to it now. I need time to process all this legal language. I'm a slow reader these days. Tyler stood up abruptly. Mom. His voice was firmer now, almost angry. We need you to sign these today. The appointment is tomorrow morning. I looked up at my son, at the man I'd raised the boy who used to bring me flowers he'd picked from the neighbor's garden. The teenager who'd cried in my arms when his first girlfriend broke his heart. No, I said quietly. What then? I said no. I'm not signing anything today. I want to review these with my own lawyer first. The silence that followed was thick enough to cut. Tyler's face flushed red. Your own lawyer, Mom. We already had a lawyer review these, a lawyer you chose. I want my own lawyer to look at them. This is ridiculous, Daisy snapped. You're being paranoid. Am I? I met her eyes. Because this feels rushed, and I don't like feeling rushed into signing legal documents I don't fully understand. Tyler slammed his hand on the table. The coffee cups rattled. I'd never seen him do that before. Not once in his entire life had I seen him that angry. "Just sign the damn papers!" he shouted. The words echoed in the kitchen. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Tyler seemed to realize what he'd done. His face went pale. "Mom, I'm sorry. I didn't mean I think you meant exactly what you said." I stood up, gathering the documents. "I'm keeping these. I'll review them with my lawyer, and then I'll decide whether or not to sign them." I walked out of the kitchen. Behind me, I heard Daisy hiss. "You just blew it." "Shut up," Tyler muttered back. I went to my bedroom and locked the door. Then I sat on my bed and finally let myself feel the full weight of what had just happened. My son had yelled at me to sign away my house. My son had lied to my face. My son had chosen money over me. The tears came again, but this time they were different. Not grief rage. They wanted to play games fine. I'd show them what happened when you underestimated Faith Morrison. I didn't come out of my room for dinner. I told them through the door that I had a headache and wanted to rest. Really, I was watching them on my phone. Tyler and Daisy were in the living room. Voices low but urgent. She suspects something. Daisy was saying, "You think?" Tyler's voice dripped with sarcasm. I blew up at her. "Of course she suspects something. You need to apologize. Gravel if you have to. We can't afford to have her digging into this. What if she actually calls a lawyer? Then we move to plan B faster than we planned." Daisy pulled out her phone. "I'm texting Evans. We need those alternative documents ready. Alternative documents. The ones where we claim she's mentally incompetent. We get a doctor to sign off on cognitive decline, and then a judge can authorize us to act on her behalf." Tyler ran his hands through his hair. "I don't know if I can do this anymore." My heart jumped. "What are you saying?" Daisy's voice went cold. "I'm saying maybe we should back off. Find another way." "Another way, Tyler? We're broke. We've been living off your mother's charity for 3 months. We have no savings, no prospects, and you haven't been able to hold down a job in 2 years. I've been trying. Not hard enough. This house is worth almost $500,000. Your mother is sitting on a fortune while we scrape by on $300 a month. This is your inheritance. We're just claiming it early. She's not dead yet, Daisy." "Exactly. Which means we have time to set this up properly. So when she does die, everything's already in our name and there's no messy probate process." Tyler was quiet for a long time. "Say no," I prayed silently. "Tell her you won't do it. Be the son I raised." "Okay," he said finally. "But we do this my way. No more aggressive tactics." We approach her gently. Make her feel loved and cared for. Then when she's feeling secure, we ask her to sign the papers as a favor to us. Daisy smiled. "There's my smart husband. See, you're better at this than you think." They kissed. I closed the app and set my phone down. There was no hope left. Tyler had made his choice. I couldn't pretend anymore. I'd spent all night thinking about what I'd heard, what I'd seen, and I'd come to a decision. I was going to confront them. Not with accusations that wouldn't work. They'd just deny everything and gaslight me into thinking I was imagining things. No, I needed to be smart about this. I needed to make them reveal themselves. At breakfast, Tyler approached me with his tail between his legs. "Mom, I'm so sorry about yesterday. I was stressed about the job search and I took it out on you. That was wrong." "It's okay, honey." I patted his hand. "We all have bad days." Relief flooded his face. "So about those documents. I've been thinking about them." Tyler and Daisy both leaned forward eager, and Daisy prompted, "I have some questions first about this power of attorney clause." I pulled out the documents and pointed to the property transfer section. This says it takes effect immediately, not when I die or become incompetent immediately. That's just how these things are worded, Tyler said quickly. But why would I need to transfer property rights to you right now? I'm perfectly capable of managing my own affairs. Daisy jumped in. It's not about capability, Faith. It's about preparation. What if something happened to you suddenly, a stroke, a heart attack? Tyler would need immediate authority to act on your behalf. But this doesn't say in case of emergency. It says effective immediately upon signature. I looked directly at Tyler, which means the moment I sign this, you own my house, not me. Tyler's face went pale. That's not... He looked at Daisy for help. You're misreading the legal language, Daisy said, but her voice had lost its smooth confidence. Am I? I stood up holding the documents. Because I had a nurse friend of mine look at these yesterday. She works in estate planning at the hospital. And she said, these documents are designed to transfer full ownership of my property to you immediately. No emergency required, no incapacitation needed, just my signature, and I lose my house. The silence was deafening. Who did you show these to? Tyler asked, his voice tight. Why does it matter unless you're worried about what they might say? Mom, please. Tyler reached for my hand. You're misunderstanding. I pulled away. No, Tyler. I think I'm finally understanding perfectly. Daisy stood up, her mask of friendliness completely gone now. You want the truth, Faith? Fine. Here's the truth. You're sitting on $500,000 in real estate while your son struggles to find work while we live on scraps. This house should be his anyway. He's your only child. We're just trying to secure our future by stealing from me. It's not stealing if it's rightfully his. I'm not dead yet, Daisy. No, but you're getting there. Daisy's voice rose. You're 68 years old. You forget things. You move slower. You can't take care of this big house by yourself. Why are you being so selfish? Selfish. That word hit me like a slap. I'm selfish. My voice was dangerously quiet. I worked double shifts for 20 years to raise Tyler alone. I paid for his college. I gave him everything I had, and now I'm selfish for wanting to keep the house I bought with my own money. You don't need this much house, Daisy shot back. A one-bedroom apartment would be plenty for someone your age. You could live comfortably in a senior community while Tyler and I actually build something with our lives. Using my money. It's Tyler's inheritance. Not while I'm alive. It isn't. Tyler finally found his voice. Mom, please. We didn't want it to be like this. But it is like this, Tyler. I looked at my son. You came into my home, pretended to care about me, and all along you were planning to steal my house and put me in a nursing home. How did you? Tyler caught himself, but too late. How did I know? Because I'm not as stupid as you think I am. I walked to the window, my back to them. I want you both out of my house, I said. Today. This is my home too, Tyler protested. I turned around. No, it's not. This is my house, my name on the deed, and I want you out. Daisy's eyes narrowed. You're making a mistake, Faith. Am I? Yes. Because who's going to believe you, a paranoid old woman who sees conspiracies everywhere? We're your family. We've been living here taking care of you. Any lawyer we talk to will see you as the problem, not us. Get out. No. Daisy crossed her arms. We're not going anywhere. The standoff stretched between us, and I realized something terrifying. They weren't going to leave. They thought they could wait me out, wear me down, make me so uncomfortable in my own home that I'd eventually give in. Fine, I said. Stay, but I'm not signing anything, and I'm calling my lawyer first thing Monday morning. I left them standing in the kitchen and went back to my room. I locked the door and leaned against it, my heart racing. This was war now, and I needed allies. After the confrontation in the kitchen, I stayed in my room for hours. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Tyler's face, that flash of anger, when I refused to sign that cold calculation, when Daisy spoke about my age. Around 3:00 p.m., I heard them leave the house. The front door slammed hard enough to rattle the pictures on my bedroom wall. I waited 10 minutes to make sure they were really gone. Then I came out. The house felt different, wrong somehow. I went straight to my desk where I'd hidden the USB drive with the video evidence. I tucked it into a locked drawer that morning behind some old nursing textbooks. The drawer was still locked, but when I opened it, the USB drive was gone. My heart stopped. I searched frantically through the drawer. Maybe I'd moved it and forgotten. Maybe I'd put it somewhere else. But I knew the truth. They'd taken it. I grabbed my phone and opened the security camera app. The app was gone, completely deleted from my phone. No, no, no. I whispered, my fingers fumbling as I tried to search for it in the App Store. I found it and tried to reinstall it. But when I entered my login information, I got an error message. Account not found. They deleted my entire account. I ran to my computer and opened my email, the secret one I'd created to back up the videos. The account had been deleted. Every backup, every piece of evidence I'd collected over the past 3 days, gone. I sank into my desk chair, my vision swimming. How had they done this? How had they accessed my phone, my computer, my locked drawer? Unless I looked at my phone more carefully. There was a tiny scratch on the screen that hadn't been there this morning, and my computer browser was open to a page I hadn't visited. They'd gotten into my devices while I was in my room, but how had they known what to look for unless they'd been watching me too? I ran to the living room. The security camera that had been mounted in the corner, the one that had captured Tyler and Daisy going through my documents, was gone. Not just turned off, gone. The mounting bracket was still there, but the camera itself had been removed. I checked the other rooms. Kitchen camera gone. Hallway camera gone. Every single camera the technician had installed 3 days ago had been removed, and there were no holes in the walls, no marks where the mounting screws had been, no wires dangling. It was like they had never existed at all. I stood in my living room, turning in circles, trying to understand what I was seeing. "This isn't possible," I said out loud. They were here. I saw them. I watched the technician install them. But my eyes told me a different story. The walls were smooth and unmarked. The corners where the cameras had been were empty. I pulled out my phone and called the security company. "Hi, this is Faith Morrison. I had cameras installed on Tuesday by one of your technicians, and now they're missing." The woman on the other end clicked some keys. Morrison. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but I don't see any record of a service call to your address." "That's impossible. He was here Tuesday morning. Young man, maybe 30, with a tablet. He showed me how to download the app. More clicking. Ma'am, we haven't had any appointments in the Queen Anne neighborhood for the past 2 weeks. Our schedule has been fully booked in the Fremont and Capitol Hill areas. But he was here. He fixed my cameras." "Is it possible you're thinking of a different company or perhaps a different day?" "No. It was Tuesday 3 days ago. He was here for 45 minutes. The woman's voice took on a carefully patient tone. "Ma'am, I'm looking at our complete service records, and there's no appointment for your address. Perhaps you should check your calendar. Sometimes these things can get confused." I hung up. My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped the phone. What was happening to me? Tyler and Daisy came home around 6:00 p.m. I heard the front door open, heard their voices in the hallway. I came out of my room like a woman possessed. "Where are they?" I demanded. Tyler looked genuinely confused. Where's what, Mom? The security cameras and my USB drive and my phone app. Mom, what are you talking about? Don't play dumb with me, Tyler. I had cameras installed on Tuesday. I recorded you and Daisy going through my documents. I saved the videos and now everything is gone. Tyler and Daisy exchanged a look. That same look I'd seen 100 times over the past 3 days. The look that said they were communicating something I wasn't meant to understand. Mom, Tyler said gently, "We don't have any security cameras." "Yes, we do. They were right there." I pointed to the empty corner. And there, and in the kitchen. Daisy walked over to the corner I was pointing at. She ran her hand along the smooth wall. "Faith, there's nothing here. These walls haven't had cameras on them because you took them down." "Took what down?" "Mom, I think you need to sit down." "I don't need to sit down. I need you to tell me the truth." Tyler approached me slowly, the way you might approach a frightened animal. "Mom, I think you might have had a dream. Sometimes dreams can feel very real. It wasn't a dream. The technician was here Tuesday morning. I paid him $450. $450. Tyler frowned. "Mom, can you show me the receipt?" I froze. I didn't have a receipt. The technician had said he'd email it to me, but I'd never checked. I'd been so focused on watching Tyler and Daisy that I'd forgotten to follow up. He said he'd email it. "Okay, can you show me the email?" I pulled out my phone with trembling hands and opened my email app. I scrolled through my inbox looking for the security company's email. It wasn't there. I checked my spam folder, nothing. I checked my trash, nothing. He said he'd send it. I whispered. Tyler guided me to the couch. "Mom, sit down, please." I sat, my mind racing. Daisy sat on the other side of me. "Faith, when was the last time you took your blood pressure medication this morning? Why are you sure?" Because sometimes when people forget their medication, they can have episodes. Confusion, false memories, that kind of thing. I'm not confused. But even as I said it, doubt crept in. Had there really been a technician, I remembered him so clearly. His professional smile, his tablet, the way he'd show me the cut wires. But where was the proof, the wires? I said suddenly. He showed me cut wires. Someone had deliberately disabled the old system. "Mom," Tyler said gently, "we've never had a security system, not since I was a kid." "Yes, we did. I had one installed 2 years ago after the Hendersons got robbed." Tyler shook his head. "The Hendersons moved to Arizona 5 years ago and they were never robbed." "No, it was," I trailed off. "When had the Hendersons moved? Was it 5 years ago?" My memory felt slippery, unreliable. "And the videos," I said desperately. "I recorded you and Daisy talking about stealing my house, about Richard Evans, about forging documents." "Mom." Tyler took my hands. "I don't know anyone named Richard Evans, and we're not trying to steal anything from you. We asked you to sign some estate planning documents, perfectly normal legal documents. That's all." You yelled at me. You slammed your hand on the table. Tyler's face fell. "I did, and I apologized for that. I was stressed and frustrated, and I handled it badly. But Mom, that doesn't mean we're plotting against you." Daisy pulled out her phone. "Faith, I'm going to call Dr. Bennett. I think you should talk to her. I don't need a doctor. Please, Mom." Tyler's eyes were wet. "For me, just let us call your doctor and make sure everything's okay." I looked at my son, my baby boy, the child I'd raised alone, and I saw genuine concern in his eyes. Or was it an act I didn't know anymore? "The documents," I said, my voice small, "the ones you wanted me to sign, they had a property transfer clause." I read it. Tyler nodded. "They had a power of attorney clause." "Yes. Standard stuff. It means if you ever became unable to make decisions for yourself, I could handle your affairs. But you'd still own everything, Mom. The house, your money, everything. I'd just be able to act on your behalf if needed. That's not what it said, Mom. I think you might have misread it. Legal language can be confusing. Had I misread it, I'd been so sure. But now, sitting here with Tyler looking at me with such worried eyes, I couldn't remember the exact wording. I want to see the documents again, I said. Of course. Tyler went to the kitchen and came back with the folder. He opened it to the section I'd been concerned about. I read it carefully. The grantor hereby grants Tyler Morrison power of attorney to act on behalf of the grantor in all matters financial and medical should the grantor become unable to make such decisions independently. That's what it said. Not irrevocable transfer of property, not effective. Immediately, just standard power of attorney language. I read it 3 times, my eyes scanning every word. I thought my voice broke. It's okay, Mom. Tyler hugged me. You're just stressed. You've been worrying about getting older, about what happens if you get sick. It's natural to be anxious about these things. I let him hold me, but my mind was spinning. Had I imagined it all, the cameras, the recordings, the conversations about forgery and nursing homes? Had it all been in my head, I spent Friday night in a fog. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw cameras that might not have existed, heard conversations that might never have happened. Tyler knocked on my door early Saturday morning. Mom, Dr. Bennett wants to talk to you. Can I come in? I opened the door. Tyler handed me his phone. Hello, Faith. Dr. Sarah Bennett's warm voice filled my ear. She'd been my doctor for 15 years. I trusted her completely. Tyler called me last night. He's concerned about you. I'm fine, Sarah. He mentioned you've been having some confusion, false memories about security cameras. I don't think they're false. Can you tell me what you remember? I told her everything. The technician, the cameras, the videos of Tyler and Daisy planning to steal my house. When I finished, there was a long pause. Faith, Dr. Bennett said gently, I want you to come in for an appointment on Monday. Just a routine checkup. Can you do that for me? There's nothing wrong with me. I'm sure there isn't, but Tyler is worried, and I'd feel better if we ruled out any medical issues. Blood pressure fluctuations can sometimes cause confusion. So can medication interactions. I'm taking the same medications I've always taken. I know, but let's just make sure everything's working properly, okay, for peace of mind. I agreed because I didn't have the energy to argue. After I hung up, I sat on my bed and tried to think clearly. Either I was losing my mind or Tyler and Daisy were gaslighting me. But how could they have removed all that evidence? How could they have erased accounts, deleted apps, removed cameras without leaving a trace? Unless there never were any cameras to begin with, unless I'd imagined the whole thing. I thought about my mother. She'd had Alzheimer's. I'd watched her deteriorate over 5 years. Watched her lose herself piece by piece. Was that happening to me? Was I becoming my mother? The thought terrified me more than anything Tyler and Daisy could have done. Saturday and Sunday blurred together. Tyler and Daisy treated me like a fragile piece of glass. They spoke to me in soft, gentle voices. They watched me constantly. Did you take your medication? Mom, how are you feeling today, Faith? Any strange thoughts or confusion, Daisy started keeping what she called a wellness journal. She'd write down everything I said, everything I did, noting any time I seemed confused or disoriented. I caught her writing in it Saturday afternoon. What are you writing? I asked. Just keeping track of your symptoms, she said sweetly. The doctor will want to know. What symptoms? Well, this morning you asked what day it was twice, and you seemed surprised when Tyler told you it was Saturday. Had I done that? I couldn't remember. Sunday morning, Tyler stopped me from making coffee. Let me do that, Mom. You seemed a little shaky yesterday. I don't want you to burn yourself. I've been making coffee for 40 years. I know, I just want to help. But it didn't feel like help. It felt like they were taking away my independence piece by piece. Sunday afternoon, I wanted to go for a walk. Daisy insisted on coming with me. It's a beautiful day, I said. I'd like to walk alone. Faith, after the confusion you've been having, I don't think that's a good idea. What if you got disoriented and couldn't find your way home? It's my own neighborhood. I know, but please let me come with you for Tyler's peace of mind. So she came, and she talked the entire time asking me questions. What street is this, Faith? How many blocks from your house are we? Do you remember the name of the coffee shop on the corner? Testing me, constantly testing me. By Sunday night, I felt like a prisoner in my own life. After Tyler and Daisy went to bed, I sat in my room and tried to piece together what was real and what wasn't. I pulled out my phone and looked at my bank statement. No charge for $450s to a security company. I checked my calendar. No appointment marked for Tuesday morning. I looked at the walls in my room. Walls I knew intimately after living in this house for 30 years. They were smooth, unmarked. No sign that cameras had ever been mounted there. I opened my dresser drawer and pulled out a photo album. Pictures of Tyler growing up his first day of school, his high school graduation, his wedding to Daisy 5 years ago. In every picture, he was smiling, happy, loving. Was this the same boy who would plot to steal from his own mother? Or had I invented that plot in my deteriorating mind? I set the album aside and buried my face in my hands. Please, I whispered to the empty room. Please let me be wrong. Please let me be crazy. Because Tyler drove me to Dr. Bennett's office. Daisy stayed home, but she'd given Tyler her wellness journal to show the doctor. In the car, Tyler was quiet. Finally, he said, "Mom, whatever happens today, I want you to know I love you." "I love you too, honey, and I'm not trying to hurt you. I never would." "You know that, right?" I looked at my son. His eyes were on the road, but I could see tension in his jaw. "I know," I said. Did I know I wasn't sure anymore? At the doctor's office, Tyler tried to come into the examination room with me. "I'd like to speak to Dr. Bennett alone," I said. "Mom, I think I should be there." "It's her right, Mr. Morrison," the nurse said firmly. Dr. Bennett was a woman in her 50s with kind eyes in a no-nonsense manner. She'd seen me through menopause, through the grief of losing my mother, through countless minor ailments over the years. "Hello, Faith. How are you feeling?" "Honestly, I don't know." She ran through a series of tests, blood pressure, reflexes, basic neurological checks. Then she moved on to cognitive testing. I'm going to say 3 words. I want you to remember them and repeat them back to me in 5 minutes. The words are table. We continued with other tests. Math problems, memory questions, spatial reasoning. I passed everything perfectly. "Your cognition is completely normal," Dr. Bennett said finally. "Sharp as ever." Relief flooded through me, but I could hear the unspoken word. But Tyler is concerned about these false memories, the security cameras that don't exist, the conspiracy theories about him trying to steal from you. What if they're not false memories? Dr. B. Bennett looked at me carefully. "Faith, do you have any evidence that these things happened?" "No, it's all gone. Gone or never existed in the first place." I didn't answer. Dr. Bennett pulled out Tyler's wellness journal. "Tyler and Daisy have been documenting concerning behaviors, asking what day it is repeatedly seeming disoriented, in familiar places, making accusations that don't align with reality. Or they're lying. Why would they lie to make me seem incompetent so they can take control of my affairs? Dr. Bennett set down the journal. Faith. That's a very serious accusation. Do you have any proof of that? No. Have Tyler and Daisy asked you to sign over your house to them? They asked me to sign estate planning documents. That's not the same thing. Many families do estate planning. It's responsible, actually. I felt my certainty crumbling. Faith, Dr. Bennett said gently. I've known you for 15 years. You're one of the sharpest people I know, but you've also been under a lot of stress. Living alone, worrying about aging, having Tyler and Daisy move in and change your routine. Stress can do strange things to our minds. So you think I'm imagining things. I think you might be experiencing anxiety-induced false memories. It's not uncommon, especially in people who are worried about cognitive decline. You become hypervigilant looking for signs of dementia. And sometimes our brains create evidence to confirm our worst fears. But I know what I saw. What you think you saw. Faith. There's no security company record of a service call, no charge on your credit card, no physical evidence of cameras, no one named Richard Evans in Tyler's contact list. I asked him to show me his phone. She'd checked Tyler's phone. Of course, his phone wouldn't have Richard Evans in it. He'd be too smart for that. He'd use a burner phone or a different name. Or maybe there was no Richard Evans. Maybe I'd made him up. I want to run some more tests. Dr. Bennett said blood work, a CT scan, just to make sure there's nothing physical going on. But Faith, I also think you might benefit from talking to someone, a therapist who specializes in anxiety and stress. You think I'm crazy? I think you're a woman under enormous stress who's experiencing some false memories. That doesn't make you crazy. It makes you human. I left the office feeling hollow. Tyler was waiting in the lobby. What did she say? She says, I'm fine, just stressed. Tyler's relief was visible. That's good. That's really good, Mom. On the drive home, he said, Dr. Bennett suggested maybe we should look into some support for you, someone to talk to about the stress of aging. Someone who understands what you're going through, a therapist. They wanted to send me to a therapist to fix my false memories. And maybe they were right, too. Maybe I needed fixing. That night, I lay in my bed and stared at the ceiling. My mother's face floated in my memory. The way she'd looked at me in her final year, confused and frightened, not recognizing her own daughter. Who are you? She'd asked me once. Where's Faith? I want my Faith. I'm Faith, Mom. I'm right here. No, you're not. You're trying to trick me. Faith is young. She has dark hair. You're old. Was that happening to me now? Was I creating false memories, seeing conspiracies where none existed, becoming the very thing I'd always feared? I thought about the cameras I'd been so certain were there, the videos I'd been so sure I'd recorded, the conversations I'd heard about nursing homes and forged documents. All of it could have been in my head. All of it could have been my anxiety manifesting as paranoid delusions. Tyler and Daisy had been nothing but kind and patient with me since the confrontation. They'd called my doctor, kept track of my symptoms, tried to help, and I'd accused them of trying to steal from me. What kind of monster was I? I rolled over and saw the photo on my nightstand. Tyler is a little boy, maybe 7 years old, holding up a crayon drawing he'd made for me. I love you, Mommy, the caption said in his careful child handwriting. Tears rolled down my cheeks. I'm so sorry, baby, I whispered to the photo. I'm so sorry for doubting you. Tomorrow I would apologize to Tyler and Daisy. I would sign whatever documents they wanted me to sign. I would trust my son the way a mother should trust her child. Because what was the alternative believing that my only child, the boy I'd raised with so much love, had become a stranger who wanted to rob me and throw me away? That couldn't be true. I wouldn't let it be true. I closed my eyes and prayed for sleep, prayed for peace, prayed that tomorrow I would wake up and this nightmare would be over. But as I drifted off, a tiny voice in the back of my mind whispered, "What if you're not crazy? What if it's all real?" I pushed the voice away. I had to, because if I listened to it, I would lose my mind completely. And I couldn't afford to lose my mind, not when I had no one left but Tyler. Even if Tyler was the very person I should be afraid of. I woke up Tuesday morning with a decision already made in my mind. I would apologize to Tyler and Daisy. I would sign the documents. I would accept that my memory was failing me and trust that my son had my best interest at heart. It was the only way to keep my sanity. I got dressed slowly, my hands still a bit shaky. In the mirror, I looked older than I felt. When had I gotten so many gray hairs? When had those lines around my eyes gotten so deep? Maybe Tyler and Daisy were right. Maybe I was declining faster than I wanted to admit. I went downstairs to make coffee. Tyler was already in the living room on his phone. He didn't see me on the stairs. "Evans, it's too early for this," he said into the phone, his voice irritated. I froze on the bottom step. "Evans, no, we haven't gotten it yet." Tyler continued. "The old lady's being more difficult than we thought." Old lady. My hand gripped the banister so hard my knuckles went white. "I know we already paid you $3,000, Tyler said. "But she's suspicious now. She won't sign anything without reading it 5 times. Yes, I know the deadline is Friday. I know." He lowered his voice, but I was close enough to hear every word. "Look, can't you just do it without the original deed? You're supposed to be good at this. Fine, fine. Give us until Friday. We'll get it one way or another." There was a pause. "Daisy thinks we should go with the incompetency route. Get a doctor to declare her unfit. Yeah, we've already started building the case. Got her own doctor questioning her memory. No, she doesn't suspect anything. She thinks she's going crazy, which is exactly where we want her." The world tilted. I grabbed the wall to steady myself. "Listen, Evans, you'll get your money, all $8,000. Just make sure those forged documents are ready. Yeah, the nursing home in Belltown. We already have the paperwork started. She won't know what hit her." Tyler laughed. My son laughed about destroying my life. "All right, Friday. We'll have everything you need by Friday." He hung up. I stood there on the stairs, barely breathing. It was real. All of it was real. I hadn't imagined anything. They had gaslighted me. They had made me doubt my own sanity. They had erased evidence, manipulated my doctor, documented symptoms to build a legal case for my incompetency. And I had almost fallen for it. I had almost apologized to them. I had almost signed away everything. The rage that flooded through me was so intense, I thought my heart might stop. But underneath the rage was something colder, clearer determination. I quietly backed up the stairs before Tyler could see me. I went to my room and locked the door. Then I pulled out my phone, the phone they thought they completely compromised, and I opened the voice recorder app. I'd heard everything Tyler said, but I needed proof that would hold up legally. I stayed in my room until Tyler left for his job interview at 9:00 a.m. Through my door, I heard him tell Daisy he'd be back by noon. The moment his car pulled out of the driveway, I unlocked my door and went downstairs. Daisy was in the kitchen typing on her laptop. "Good morning, Faith," she said with that sweet, poisonous smile. "How are you feeling today?" Better I lied. I've been thinking about what Dr. Bennett said about stress and false memories. Oh. Daisy's eyes lit up with predatory interest. I think she's right. I think I've been letting my anxiety get the better of me. The words tasted like ash in my mouth, but I forced them out. I want to apologize for the way I've been acting. Daisy stood up and came over to me. She actually hugged me. Faith, that's so brave of you to admit. We understand. We know this has been hard for you. I was thinking. I continued pulling away from her embrace. Maybe I should sign those documents after all the estate planning ones just to have everything in order like you and Tyler said. Daisy's face transformed. Pure, undisguised triumph. Really, Faith. That's wonderful. Tyler will be so relieved, but I'd like to review them one more time first with a clear head. Could I see them again? Of course. Let me get them. She practically ran to get the folder. I stood in the kitchen, my heart pounding, my hands steady. I was going to let them think they'd won, and then I was going to destroy them. I told Daisy I wanted to take a walk to clear my head before reviewing the documents. Would you like me to come with you? She asked. No, thank you. I think I need some time alone to think. Of course. Take your time. I walked 3 blocks to the library, the same library where I'd sat in my car 4 days ago watching Tyler and Daisy plot against me on my phone. 4 days. That felt like 4 years. At the library, I used one of the public computers to create a new email account. Then I researched elder abuse lawyers in Seattle. The first 3 I called were too expensive or too busy. The 4th one answered on the second ring. Walsh and Associates, Rebecca Walsh speaking. Miss Walsh, my name is Faith Morrison. I need help. My son is trying to steal my house. There was a pause. Can you come to my office today? I can't. He's watching me, but I have proof. I heard him on the phone this morning talking to someone about forging documents. Did you record it? No, but I can. I need to know if I record conversations in my own home. Is that legal in Washington state? Yes. It's a 2-party consent state for phone calls, but 1-party consent for in-person conversations. If you're part of the conversation or if it's happening in your own home, you can record it legally. Hope bloomed in my chest. What kind of evidence would I need to stop them? A clear recording of them discussing the fraud. Names, amounts, timeline. The more specific, the better. Also, any documentation of gaslighting or elder abuse. They've been making me think I'm losing my mind. They erased evidence I had collected. They're building a case to have me declared mentally incompetent. Rebecca Walsh's voice went hard. Mrs. Morrison, how soon can you get me that recording? I need a few days. They're expecting me to sign documents on Friday. Don't sign anything. And Mrs. Morrison, be careful. People who are willing to commit fraud are often willing to escalate if they feel cornered. I hung up and sat there for a moment processing. Then I made 2 more calls. The first was to Dr. Bennett's office. I told the receptionist I needed to schedule a full cognitive evaluation, the kind that would hold up in court. Dr. Bennett had some concerns, I said carefully. I want to prove that I'm mentally competent for legal purposes. The receptionist scheduled me for Thursday morning. The second call was to a private investigator that Rebecca Walsh had recommended. Detective Rodriguez, a man's voice answered. I need someone to install hidden recording devices in my home today. Ma'am, I'll need more details. I told him everything. The whole story poured out of me. The cameras, the gaslighting, Tyler's phone call this morning. Can you come to the coffee shop on Queen Anne Avenue in an hour? He asked. The one next to the bookstore. Yes. Bring any documentation you have. Bank statements, the estate planning documents, anything that shows their access to your finances. I gathered everything I needed from my house while Daisy was in the shower. Then I left a note saying I'd gone to the pharmacy for my prescriptions. He was a man in his 50s, with gray hair and sharp eyes. He looked like somebody's grandfather, which was probably why he was good at his job. We sat in a back corner of the coffee shop. I showed him the documents Tyler wanted me to sign. He read them carefully, his expression darkening. These are designed to transfer full ownership to your son, immediately upon signature, he said. Not when you die, not if you become incapacitated. Immediately. That's what I thought. But they convinced me I was misreading it. You weren't misreading anything. This is fraud. He pulled out his phone and took pictures of every page. Mrs. Morrison, with your permission, I'd like to install audio recording devices in your home. Small wireless, completely hidden. They'll capture everything said in your living room and kitchen. Is that legal? It's your home. You have every right to record what happens there. Washington law is very clear on this. How much will this cost? My fee is $2,000 for the week plus equipment. But Mrs. Morrison, if what you're telling me is true, I'll make sure every penny is worth it. I wrote him a check from an account Tyler didn't know about my emergency fund that I'd been contributing to for 40 years. I can install the equipment this afternoon while your son and daughter-in-law are out, he said. Do you know their schedule? Tyler has a supposed job interview until 3 p.m. Daisy usually does grocery shopping on Tuesday afternoons. Perfect. I'll be at your house at 100 p.m. Let me in through the back door so the neighbors don't see. At 12:45 p.m., I texted Daisy. Decided to have lunch with an old friend from the hospital. We'll be home around 48. She texted back, have fun, Tyler, and I will probably grab dinner out. We have some things to discuss. I bet they did. I let Detective Rodriguez in through the back door at exactly 1 p.m. He worked quickly and efficiently. Within an hour, he'd installed 6 tiny microphones in the living room, the kitchen, the dining room, even in the guest room where Tyler and Daisy slept. They're voice activated, he explained. They'll only record when someone's talking. Everything uploads to a secure cloud server. Even if they somehow find the devices and destroy them, you'll have backups. He also gave me a small microphone to wear. It looks like a pendant, he said, showing me a delicate silver necklace with what looked like a decorative flower. But it's actually a high-quality recording device. Wear it tomorrow when you talk to them. Tomorrow, you said they want you to sign documents on Friday. That gives us 2 days to collect evidence. Wear the pendant. Ask them direct questions about the documents. Get them to explain their plan to you. The more they talk, the more they'll incriminate themselves. I held the pendant, feeling its weight. What if they realize what I'm doing? They won't. They think you're broken. They think they've convinced you that you're losing your mind. Use that. Play the confused old woman. Ask questions like you don't understand. They'll explain everything thinking they're being clever. After he left, I sat in my kitchen and touched the pendant around my neck. This was it. My last chance to prove the truth and save myself. I couldn't afford to make a mistake. I woke up early and put on the pendant Detective Rodriguez had given me. It felt heavier than it should, weighted with the importance of what I was about to do. Tyler and Daisy were already at breakfast when I came down. Good morning, Mom, Tyler said. He looked relaxed, confident. Sleep well? Very well, actually. I poured myself coffee with hands that didn't shake. I've been thinking about those documents. I'd like to go over them again this morning if you have time. Tyler and Daisy exchanged a glance, that same look they'd given each other 100 times. But now I knew what it meant. It meant she's ready to sign. We're almost there. Of course, Daisy said warmly. We have all the time in the world for you, Faith. We sat at the dining room table. Tyler spread out the documents. I picked up the first page and pretended to read it slowly. This section here, I said, pointing to the power of attorney clause. Can you explain it to me again? I want to make sure I understand. Tyler leaned forward, patient and kind. It just means that if you ever can't make decisions for yourself, if you're in the hospital or if your memory gets worse, I can make those decisions for you. But I'd still own everything. The house, my bank accounts. Of course, Mom. We'd never take anything from you. The lie came so smoothly from his mouth. And this part about real property, I asked, pointing to the section I knew transferred ownership. Daisy jumped in. That's just legal language. It means Tyler can sell the house if needed, like if you had to go into a nursing home and needed money for care. Would I go into a nursing home? Only if you needed special medical care that we couldn't provide at home, Tyler said. But that's years away, Mom. This is just planning ahead. I see. I set down the papers, and you said there's a lawyer who reviewed these. What was his name again? Another glance between them. Richard Evans Daisy said. He's an estate planning specialist. Has he done this kind of work before? Many times. He's very experienced. And how much does he charge? His fee is $8,000, Tyler said. But it's worth it for the peace of mind. $8,000. Exactly what he'd said on the phone. That seems expensive. Estate planning is complicated, Daisy explained. But it's a one-time cost and it protects all of us. I nodded slowly, playing the confused elderly woman perfectly. What happens after I sign these? We take them to Mr. Evans tomorrow. Tyler said he files them with the county and then everything's legal and official. And then what then? Nothing changes, Tyler assured me. You keep living here. Keep doing everything you do now. We just have legal protection in place for the future, but the house would be in your name. Silence. I'd asked the question too directly. I saw Tyler tense. Not exactly, he said carefully. The ownership wouldn't change, just the ability for me to act on your behalf if needed. Another lie. But I let it go. Okay, I said. I think I understand now. So you'll sign Daisy's eagerness, leaked through her careful composure. I need to think about it for one more day. Is that all right? I could see the frustration flash across both their faces, quickly hidden. Of course, Mom, Tyler said. Take all the time you need. But Daisy added, just remember, Mr. Evans can only hold the appointment slot until Friday. If we miss that deadline, we'd have to start the whole process over, and that could take months. The pressure, always the pressure. I'll decide by tomorrow, I promised. After lunch, I told them I was going to rest in my room. Instead, I sat on my bed with my phone listening to the live feed from the hidden microphones Detective Rodriguez had installed. Tyler and Daisy were in the living room. She's stalling again, Daisy said, her voice tight with frustration. She said she'd decide by tomorrow. That's what she said yesterday. And the day before that, Tyler were running out of time. I know. Do you? Because Evans called me this morning. He says if we don't have the signed documents by Friday, he's walking and he's keeping our deposit. $3,000, Tyler muttered. $3,000 that we can't afford to lose. We're broke, Tyler. We have maybe $200 left in our account. If this doesn't work, it will work. How she's not signing. And every day we wait is another day she could talk to someone. Another day she could figure out what we're doing. She's not going to figure it out. We've made her doubt her own mind. You saw how she was this morning, asking us to explain things like a confused child. She's broken, Daisy. She just needs one more push. Broken, the word echoed in my head. Then push, her Daisy demanded. Stop being so gentle. Your mother is sitting on $500,000 while we're eating ramen and stealing her grocery money. I'm done being patient. What do you suggest? We use the incompetency route. Call Dr. Bennett. Tell her your mother is getting worse. Get her to recommend a psychiatric evaluation. Once we have a doctor saying she's not competent, we can get power of attorney through the court. It'll take a little longer, but it's guaranteed. And if Mom fights it, how she has no evidence of anything. We've made sure of that. We destroyed the cameras, deleted the accounts, erased everything. As far as anyone knows, she's a paranoid old woman with early dementia. Tyler was quiet for a long moment. Okay, he said finally. Call Dr. Bennett. Tell her Mom's symptoms are getting worse. What symptoms make something up? Say she got lost going to the store. Say she forgot my name. Say she tried to leave the house in her nightgown. Whatever sounds believable. Daisy laughed. God, you're getting good at this. I learned from the best. They kissed. I turned off the audio feed and sat there, my whole body shaking. Not with fear, with fury. I had my appointment with Dr. Bennett at 9:00 a.m. Tyler tried to come with me again, but I insisted on going alone. It's just blood work and some memory tests, I told him. I'll be fine. This time, I'd arranged for the appointment myself. Tyler didn't know about it. Dr. Bennett greeted me with her usual warm smile. Faith, how are you feeling? Sharp as a tack, I said, and I can prove it. Over the next 2 hours, Dr. Bennett put me through every cognitive test she had. Memory, reasoning, spatial awareness, verbal fluency, problem solving. I passed everything perfectly. Faith, Dr. Bennett said, finally, you're showing no signs of cognitive decline whatsoever. Your scores are actually above average for your age group. I need that in writing, I said. Official documentation that I'm mentally competent. She studied me carefully. What's going on, Faith? I told her everything. The real story, not the gaslighted version. When I finished, her face was pale. They convinced me you were having paranoid delusions, she said quietly. Tyler called me Monday night, said you'd had another episode, asked me to recommend psychiatric evaluation. What did you tell him? I said I wanted to run more tests first, which is why you're here. Will you testify, if it comes to that I'm mentally competent? Dr. Bennett didn't hesitate. Absolutely. Faith, what they're doing to you is called elder abuse. It's a crime. I know, and I'm going to stop them. She printed out official documentation of my cognitive evaluation, signed and sealed. I folded it carefully and put it in my purse. Evidence. Real, undeniable evidence. I came home to find Tyler and Daisy in the living room surrounded by papers. Mom. Tyler stood up quickly. Where were you? We were worried. I had an appointment with Dr. Bennett. Didn't I mention it? No, you. He stopped. How did it go? Fine, she says. I'm perfectly healthy. I set down my purse. What are you two working on? Just some paperwork, Daisy said, gathering the papers quickly. But I'd already seen what they were. Nursing home applications. Paperwork for what I asked innocently. For our business idea, Tyler lied smoothly. We're thinking of starting a consulting company. How wonderful. What kind of consulting and estate planning? Daisy said, helping seniors navigate legal documents. The irony was so thick I could taste it. That sounds perfect for you, I said. You've certainly learned a lot about it recently. Something in my tone made them both look at me sharply. What do you mean? Tyler asked. I smiled. Nothing, just that you've been so helpful with my documents. The tension eased slightly. Actually, I said, I've made a decision. I'm ready to sign. Tyler's face lit up. Really, really. Tomorrow morning, let's get it done. Mom, that's great. He hugged me. I hugged him back, feeling the wire under my pendant necklace, recording every word. But I have one condition, I said. What's that? I want to understand exactly what I'm signing. I want you to go through each clause and explain it to me in detail so I know exactly what's happening. Of course, Daisy said quickly, we can do that. Good. Tomorrow morning, 10:00 a.m., we'll sit down, go through everything, and then I'll sign. Perfect, Tyler said. This is perfect, Mom. After they went to bed, I sat in my room and called Detective Rodriguez. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., I told him. That's when they'll confess everything. I'll have officers standing by, he said. Get them to say it all on record. Names amounts their whole plan. Can you do that? I looked at myself in the mirror, at my gray hair and my lined face and my tired eyes. I looked like a harmless old woman. That was my greatest weapon. I can do it, I said. I'm ready. I woke up at 6:00 a.m. and put on the pendant. I'd chosen my outfit carefully, a soft blue cardigan that Tyler had given me for Christmas years ago, and comfortable slacks. I looked like everyone's kind grandmother. Perfect. At 9:55 a.m., I came downstairs. Tyler and Daisy were already at the dining room table with the documents spread out. Ready, Mom? Tyler asked. Ready. I sat down between them, my phone in my pocket recording, as back up the pendant around my neck, capturing everything, and Detective Rodriguez's hidden microphones picking up every word. This was it. Okay, I said, putting on my most confused elderly woman voice. Let's start from the beginning. I want to make sure I really understand what happens after I sign these. Tyler pulled the documents closer. Of course, Mom. What do you want to know? Well, you said this gives you power of attorney. What exactly can you do with that power? I can make decisions about your care and your finances if you can't make them yourself. And when would I not be able to make those decisions? If you got sick, Daisy said, or if your memory got worse. Is my memory bad? No, Tyler said quickly. But it could get worse as you age. This is just preparation. I see. And the house. What happens to the house? This was the crucial question. Tyler and Daisy exchanged that look again. The house stays yours, Tyler said. But this clause here, I pointed to the property transfer section. It says full and irrevocable transfer of real property. What does that mean? It's just legal language, Daisy said dismissively. No, I want to understand. Does it mean you own the house? Silence. Tyler, I pressed. Does this document transfer ownership of my house to you? More silence. Because if it does, I need to know that. I need to know that when I sign this, I'm giving you my house. Is that what's happening? I could see the calculation in their eyes. They were trying to decide whether to keep lying or to pivot to a new strategy. Daisy chose to pivot. Faith, she said, her voice taking on a patronizing tone. You're not capable of maintaining this house anymore. You're getting older, you forget things, you get confused. It's better if Tyler handles it. I'm not confused right now, aren't you? Because just last week you thought you had security cameras installed. You thought we were plotting against you. Those were delusions. Faith. Were they? Tyler leaned forward. Mom, I love you, but you're not well. Dr. Bennett is concerned. We concerned. This house is too much for you. Once I have power of attorney, I can sell it and move you somewhere safer, like a nursing home if necessary. Yes, there it was. The truth finally spoken out loud. And you've already looked at nursing homes, haven't you? I asked. How did you? Tyler caught himself. The Belltown Senior Living Facility, $2,500 a month. You've already filled out the application. Tyler's face went white. And Richard Evans, I continued, my voice steady and clear. And the man you've paid $8,000 to forge my signature on documents, he's expecting you today, isn't he? Complete silence? How do you know about Evans? Daisy's voice was barely a whisper. I heard you, Tyler, Tuesday morning on the phone with him talking about the old lady who was being difficult, discussing the $3,000 deposit you'd already paid him. Tyler stood up abruptly. You were spying on us in my own home. Yes. That's illegal. Actually, it's not. Washington is a one-party consent state. I can record any conversation in my own home. I reached up and touched the pendant around my neck, like this conversation, for instance. They both stared at the pendant, understanding dawning. You've been recording us. Daisy's voice rose. This whole time, just since Wednesday, but it's been very enlightening. Tyler lunged for me, trying to grab the pendant. I stood up quickly, moving away from him. Don't bother, I said. Even if you destroy it, the recordings are already uploaded to a secure server, and there are other devices in this house that have been recording you for days. You can't do this, Daisy hissed. We'll say you're mentally incompetent, that you're paranoid. Dr. Bennett will testify. Dr. Bennett ran a full cognitive evaluation on me yesterday. I passed with flying colors. She'll testify that I'm perfectly mentally sound. The front doorbell rang. Tyler and Daisy froze. That would be Detective Rodriguez, I said calmly. And the police. I walked to the front door and opened it. Detective Rodriguez stood there with two uniformed officers and attorney Rebecca Walsh. Mrs. Morrison, Rodriguez said formally. Are Tyler Morrison and Daisy Parker Morrison here? They're in the dining room. The officers entered. Tyler and Daisy stood frozen as Rodriguez approached them. Tyler Morrison and Daisy Parker Morrison, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud, attempted forgery, and financial abuse of a vulnerable adult. This is insane, Tyler shouted. She's lying. She's senile. One of the officers began reading them their rights. Rebecca Walsh stepped forward. We have multiple recordings of you discussing plans to forge Mrs. Morrison's signature, steal her property, and have her wrongfully committed. We have evidence of gaslighting, evidence of you destroying her security camera system, and evidence of you attempting to manipulate her doctor into declaring her incompetent. She can't prove any of that, Daisy said, but her voice shook. Actually, I said quietly. I have recordings of everything. Your conversations about Richard Evans, your discussions about nursing homes, your plans to have me declared mentally incompetent, all of it. The officer handcuffed Tyler. Mom, please. Tyler begged, tears streaming down his face. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Don't do this. I looked at my son, my baby boy, who I'd loved more than my own life. You tried to steal my home, I said. Say said, you tried to steal my sanity. You tried to steal my dignity, and you did it without a second thought. I was desperate. You were greedy. There's a difference. The officers led them toward the door. Tyler looked back at me one last time. What happens now? Now, I said, you face the consequences of your choices. The courtroom was smaller than I'd imagined. Tyler and Daisy sat at the defendant's table with their public defender. They'd spent 3 months in jail, unable to make bail. Richard Evans had been arrested too, caught with evidence of dozens of similar frauds against elderly clients. He'd made a deal with prosecutors and testified against Tyler and Daisy. The prosecutor had offered them a plea deal, 18 months in prison, 5 years probation, permanent restraining order, and full restitution. They took it. It meant they wouldn't go to trial. It meant I wouldn't have to testify against my own son in front of a jury, but it also meant admitting their guilt. The judge asked Tyler if he understood the charges. Yes, Your Honor, he said quietly. And do you wish to allocate to make a statement to the court? Tyler stood. He looked thinner than I remembered, older. Your Honor, I want to say that what I did was wrong. Unforgivably wrong. My mother gave me everything, and I tried to take everything from her. His voice broke. There's no excuse. I was greedy. I was weak. I let my wife manipulate me, but that's not an excuse either. I made my choices. He turned to look at me in the gallery. Mom, if you're listening, and I know you are because you never miss anything, I'm sorry. I know that's not enough. I know I can never make this right, but I'm sorry. The judge looked at me. Mrs. Morrison, would you like to address the court? I hadn't planned to speak, but I stood up. Your Honor, Tyler is my only child. I raised him alone. I gave him everything I had. And when he asked me to sign those documents, part of me wanted to because I wanted to believe in him. I wanted to trust him. I looked at Tyler. But you didn't just try to steal my house. You tried to steal my reality. You made me doubt my own mind. You made me think I was losing my sanity. That's something I can't forgive. Tyler's head dropped. I hope prison gives you time to find the person you used to be. The little boy who used to pick me flowers. The teenager who cried in my arms over his first heartbreak. That person is still in there somewhere. I paused. But he's not my son anymore. Not the son I knew, not the son I raised. You're breaking my heart, son. But you broke yours first. The judge sentenced them both to 18 months in prison. As the officers led them away, Tyler looked back at me one last time. I didn't look away. I owed him that much. It was Thanksgiving morning, and my house smelled like turkey and pumpkin pie. But I wasn't alone. Doctor, Sarah Bennett was in my kitchen helping me make gravy. Her husband was watching football in the living room with Detective Rodriguez, who'd become a good friend over the past few months. Rebecca Walsh was setting the table with her partner. And there were others neighbors I'd reconnected with, old friends from the hospital, the technician who'd originally installed my security cameras and had testified at the trial, my chosen family. Faith Dr. Bennett said, "Are you sure you're okay? I know holidays can be hard." I looked around my living room at the people who'd stood by me, who'd believed me, who'd helped me reclaim my life. I'm better than okay, I said honestly. On the mantle, there was a photo of young Tyler, maybe 7 years old, holding up a drawing he'd made for me. I'd kept it there not because I'd forgiven him, but because I needed to remember that people can change. To remember that love isn't enough when someone chooses greed over family. To remember that I was stronger than anyone, including myself, had believed. The doorbell rang. I answered it to find a young woman from the elder abuse prevention nonprofit I'd started volunteering with. She was bringing another woman, maybe 70, who looked frightened and confused. "Mrs. Morrison," the young woman said, "this is Helen. She thinks her grandson is stealing from her, but she's not sure if it's real or if she's imagining it." I looked at Helen's frightened eyes and recognized myself from 6 months ago. "Come in," I said, taking her hand. "Let me tell you a story about security cameras and the people who tried to make me think I was crazy." Helen's grip tightened on my hand. "You believe me," she whispered. "I believe you," I said. "And I'm going to help you prove it." Because that's what I did now. I helped other people fight back against those who thought they could take advantage of the elderly. I helped them find their strength. I helped them trust their own reality. I helped them win. My house was still mine. My mind was still mine. My life was still mine. And I was using all of it to make sure no one else had to go through what I'd gone through. Tyler had wanted to steal my house and put me in a nursing home. Instead, I'd found my purpose. Maybe that was the best revenge of all. People ask me sometimes if I regret having Tyler arrested, if I wish I'd handled things differently. The answer is no, because he didn't just try to steal my property. He tried to steal my sanity, my dignity, my right to be believed. And that's something you can't forgive, not even from your own child. The cameras I have now are state of the art. The security system is impenetrable, and I check it every single day. Not because I'm paranoid, but because I learned the most important lesson of my life. Trust yourself. Even when everyone else says you're wrong, even when the evidence disappears, even when your own son tries to make you doubt your reality, trust yourself. Because sometimes the camera never lies, but people do.